Well, here's some good news, especially if your place of work was affected during last month's unrest, the looting, the failed insurrection. If your business was damaged or affected in any way, you could be liable. I want to say could be eligible for UIF payments worth up to 17,000 rand. To remind you, Employment and Labour Minister Thulas Nxesi gazetted the Destroyed, Affected or Looted Workplaces Temporary Relief Scheme on Tuesday. It's quite a title. Employers who have closed businesses are also being urged to apply on the behalf of their workers. But with anything UIF, I'm sure you'll agree it's always a little complicated. So we're speaking to the man in the know, UIF Acting Commissioner, Advocate Mzie Yawa. Advocate Yawa, it's always such a pleasure speaking to you. And I know when it comes to the UIF, things can get difficult. So I want to answer just a few key questions this morning. This payments of up to 17,000 rand. When we say eligible, who are we talking to and what makes them eligible? Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Edward, and good morning to viewers. Maybe the payment is not really up to 17,000. The payment, the deductions in the form of contributions are ranging from the lowest amount up to 17,000. So when we compute how much must be paid over to UIF, it is calculated on that. The actual payment in terms of a relief, they are worked normally in a sliding scale running between 38% to 60% on a salary up to 17,000. So you don't really get paid 17,000. That's the salary that gets taken into account. But coming to the question that you were asking, if I got it right, who is eligible? We call this, and I heard, and you are correct to say the phrase, the title looks too long. In simple terms, we call this one WABU, WABU or WABU, W-A-B-U, workers affected by the unrest. So that it is easy, you know, we don't talk tears, we don't talk this, we just call this one WABU. Who's eligible is any employee who works for a business or a workplace that was affected by the unrest. And it could be affected in a variety of ways. It could be affected in a sense that it was damaged during the unrest in Gauteng and KZN. It could be affected in that it was looted. It can be affected in that even if it was not damaged or looted, but perhaps where it operates, let's say it operates in a mall, that mall is closed now because they are rebuilding or making it ready for use again. So during all that time, the workers of that employer may not be able to get salary because the employer may say, I made no profit, I didn't run any business, and therefore I'm unable to pay you. Those employers, for those employees, must then apply to the UIF to get this so-called WABU relief.
Advocate, let me ask you, I'm so glad we've come up with the acronym WABU because that temporary relief scheme title is a very long one to say. WABU, workers affected by unrest. So you've unpacked, thank you, Advocate, you've unpacked what affected means, because destroyed is obvious, looted is obvious, affected becomes very grey, but I'm glad you clarified on that. Here's also been an issue, Advocate, when we were dealing with the tours for the hospitality industry, the tourism industry, and employers who aren't applying on behalf of their workers. They're not doing due diligence. They're not doing the hard work of getting tours for their employees. So when company owners are being urged to do it, how are we going to try and get company owners to follow through? That was a problem with previous tours, wasn't it?
Well, yes, there are some also of such respects, although there were not as many in our own computation. But there should not have been any at any rate, because our intention is that every worker must get the benefit so that they can attend to their responsibilities, including supporting their families. So what we have, we do discuss these matters and execute them together with our social partners at NEDLEC. Employers are represented at NEDLEC, and our partners at NEDLEC, we always urge them. Please talk to your employers. It is a responsible thing, even for your own good, because if you've got a happy worker and you take efforts to make your workers happy, in turn they pay back by making your business go well. So there is not any, it's a small investment, an investment of care, an investment of responsibility, and we want to urge all employers to take this up because it really helps them as it helps their employees.
Of course,
but as I'm saying, we've got partners at Network.
Advocate, of course it does. Employees and employers need to work very closely together. I've got about a minute and a half left with you, Advocate. Let me ask this. How much money in total is available from the UIF? It's a key question, knowing how much money is being spent in TERS over the last 18 months. And when does this come into effect, this new, I'm going to call it the WABU TERS? When does it start?
It's going to start any time from next week. We shall announce the actual applications, and this, in terms of the total value, is combined to the other interventions that we've made, the various TERS interventions. All of it is budgeted at 5.3 billion. We're still running some TERS that, even as you know, the recent lockdown that closed on the 25th of July, those are part of that 5.3, and every other previous that are still running. The total for everything of these interventions to help in situations like this is 5.3 billion.
It's such a shame that 3.5 billion rand is needed because of looting and violence. But Advocate, I thank you very much for your time in speaking to us this morning. Acting UIF Commissioner, that is Advocate Mzie Yawa, joining us. So in case you are a business owner who needs to try and get some more information on that, you are Googling the Destroyed, Affected or Looted Workplaces Temporary Relief Scheme. Yes, take a deep breath while you say that. Also, you can look for WABU, Workers Affected by Unrest. I like the second one.
Yeah,
That's much easier.
It's much easier on the tongue, right? All right.